all right. This is going to be a good one. Wow.
Awake now?
Yeah. Okay.
We had soft-spoken Spencer for the first question.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, I'm awake, everybody.
All right, welcome back to Burning Questions, brought to you by Zone Smelling Salts. Today we have Spencer in here. He is my nutrition coach, another member of my team. We've been working together for about 4 years now.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to chat with him and let you guys see a little bit more of who I work with and who my team is and the people behind the successes. So as always, we have 8 questions, 8 different salts provided by Zone. Spencer has chosen his lineup and elected to go with the full 8 salt lineup today. But before we get into the questions themselves, I want to give you the floor to just talk a little bit about yourself and who you are.
Okay. Well, I am Aaron's nutrition coach, obviously, but a little bit of my background. I started doing bodybuilding when I was a younger age. I'm 29 now. I want to say it was like from 1920-ish till just recently. That's what kind of like my background is in doing this. That's where I kind of fell in love with the fitness industry. And from there, it just kind of transitioned into wanting to help people more. And that transitioned into coaching. I ended up wanting to always like try to find someone that I could help. I like seeing people in the gym that like felt like they were lost because I was kind of that person too. And that, like I said, just kind of transitioned into what it is now. I feel like I was fairly lucky with you. You know, I was helping a friend with a couple different, food navigations, I guess I'll say. And then, you know, I got recommended by her. And it has now blossomed into this fucking awesome career that I have now.
Pretty cool to see like the last 4 years, like how both of us have evolved.
It's been really cool. Yeah.
All right. So I'll get into the first question. Apologies in advance if you hear like a lot of gym clatter in the background. It is very loud in here today. Hopefully the mics block out most of it, but you might hear some weights clanging around. We'll make do. So you gave a little bit of your background. I want to get into it a little bit more. So the first question with some blueberry pie.
Oh, God.
Whew. Whew. Okay. So what was your relationship with sports and nutrition growing up? And then when did you decide to get more involved with it and become a coach?
Okay. This is going to be fun. Okay, that's good. So growing up, actually, I had no real nutrition understanding. My mom always had home cooked meals growing up. They were not always protein focused, but I always thought that they were healthy, right? But I was a bigger boy growing up. I was kind of a fat kid. And that spiraled into my mother, actually. She struggled with her weight her whole life, right? I got into, I was playing flag football. Then I tried like tackle football going into junior high school. And then from there, it went into like swimming. I guess I'll say, trying to close my eyes and picture like all the things that, you know, because it feels like so long ago, right?
It kind of was.
Shit. But getting into the nutrition part, from a younger age, I watched my mom kind of deteriorate pretty fast, and it was mainly because, you know, she couldn't pull back on her diet, right? And, you know, that's no easy feat for anybody. It deteriorated her body so bad that she had to have double hip surgery. She couldn't get the hip surgery because she was so overweight. And, you know, that took a really big toll on my, you know, mentality. And I didn't want to be in that same spot. My grandma was also in the same spot. She was in a wheelchair, you know, in her later years, and she had to scoot around all the time. And seeing that, I feel like I did luck out with some of my dad's genetics, but I really have to work hard to make sure I'm not just a fat kid all the time. So,
what age were you when you started to notice those things in your parents and your mom, and like actively make a decision to not go down the same path?
You know, I feel like a little late because I went through that like yo-yo feel of like, I'm gonna, diet really hard at like what was it, 19, 20, and like I couldn't really figure out like how to get it down. Was it, and then hired a coach to help me do a bodybuilding show, and that was just like a crash diet. So like around like I want to say like 18, 19 was when I really like was like deep in it, trying to understand like nutrition and all the things that come with it. But from there, it was just like how should I say this? Kind of that thirst got more and more and more. That toll really just tried to drive me in the opposite direction, which I feel like to a certain part got unhealthy, but it really kind of made me get to where I am today in that respect, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving up the lineup, a little bit stronger. We got Cotton Candy. Oh, all right. So you've competed in bodybuilding. Brain. Okay. When I met you, most, if not all, your clients were. You had a lot of like your competitive clients were mostly bodybuilders. Mm-hmm. So do you feel like you intentionally sought out becoming a bodybuilding coach, or did those types of clients gravitate towards you because of your own involvement in the sport?
I'm trying to be gentle with
there it is.
Woo! All right, this is gonna be a good one. Wow!
Awake now?
Yeah. Okay.
We had soft-spoken Spencer for the first question.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, I'm awake, everybody. So I think I sought after it pretty hard. I think when I did hit that point of trying, because I just told myself like I really wanted to be a bodybuilder, but I don't know, I feel like I realized at a later date that like my potential wasn't there to be Mr. Olympia. If you ask my training partner from a couple of years ago, that was my goal. Like I wanted to be that. I wanted to be that so bad, but I hit a reality check. I think that I sought after them so hard that because I wanted more experience. I wanted to help people in that regard because it felt so cool when I loved the idea of like the bodybuilding show. And then it's funny how life works out. You just transition into other things, and I found so much more joy in helping. I don't know, all different types of athletes. Right. I think my first love will always be bodybuilding. Yeah. Through and through.
So you kind of knew that initially, at least, that was the type of athlete you actively wanted to work with. Yeah. You didn't just like happen into it.
No, and then I wanted to help people with weight loss, and that kind of inherently is at, I don't know if it's at its core, but like kind of like bodybuilding, building blocks. Yeah, basically. So yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think I sought out more bodybuilding clients than not.
Cool. I'm glad you understood what I was asking because my brain did not think coherently as I was trying to ask that question.
It's okay.
Words came out in a weird order. All right. Great bubble gum. Oh. That was on the left side.
Yep.
All right. Okay, so
shit. Oh God.
When I first started working with you, between your like competitive bodybuilders and like more general population clients, I assume most of the goals that you worked with were aesthetic. Amongst most of your clients. So what was it like for you transitioning into working with more performance-based athletes?
Okay.
We're going on one side on purpose?
The other one went all on the other note. Okay. So transitioning was interesting just because, I knew that performance tanked in bodybuilding. Like you would try to keep performance high and try to push heavyweight continuously and try to do all the right things that you would in off season and in the competitive season, because you're just trying to essentially cut down body fat, right? And I knew performance was going to go down eventually, but with like athletes like you, right? It was like, okay, well now I have to do that plus right? And now I have to keep you just not feeling like shit somehow, and also pull down like, was that like half or percent of body fat, or like a percent of body fat, basically, like, you know, every ish week, something of that nature, right?
Yeah.
Depending on where we need to be at.
Yeah. For context too, it's like a lot of the sport isn't necessarily about like aesthetics or weight loss or whatever, but Spencer has helped me a lot with getting down in weight classes. So like I was just talking about like having to pull down in weight while also maintain performance, because we've also done preps where we didn't have to do that.
Yeah, it was kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah, but what is like how? I'm guessing that's challenging.
It can be challenging. I think it really just depends on the person too. Like every coach out there talks about like specifics with their athletes, right? I found that very much for everyone to keep performance high, we've kind of switched to more intra stuff, right? So that's the biggest thing that in a cut for someone that's trying to keep performance high. We keep the carbohydrates or like energy, energy factors focused around the workout to try to keep that in a good range, because you can be dead the rest of the day, luckily, but during that session it has to be, how should I put this? It has to be very, it has to progress. It has to get better, right? So we're going to try and pull most of your, not calories, but like energy calories right around the workout.
And would that be different in the bodybuilding though? Because I would assume bodybuilders still have to be able to train hard.
Yes. No, I don't think it would be different in terms of that, right? I think it is similar, but I also think that it is different in terms of maybe like pre and post and intra, like especially for you, right? Like, I'm not going to feed you the same as I would, some of the 260 pound strongman or like the 180 pound bodybuilder, right?
Yeah.
So I think at its basics, they are similar, but I think some people, like especially in bodybuilding, can get away with less of intras getting through the workout unless they feel like the pump is going away, and that's going to go away eventually anyway, right? Especially when we're getting down into that sub like 11%, 10% body fat, you're just not gonna get that type of performance, right? We're not trying to cut you down specifically for that. We water cut the rest of the way, right? And water manipulation, getting into that, is much different comparatively, right? Like for bodybuilding, right, I want to sodium deplete and water deplete to try and like manipulate where the water's at, right? Or if you can, right? Or where the water's at versus we're just trying to pull off
from everywhere.
We're just to get weight down, right? So that don't matter. So for bodybuilding, you got to take into account into stress and all of those little micro factors, because like, what if someone's stressed around and they hold water in their legs when they're stressed, right? It's like, okay, she's dying, but she made weight. Cool, right?
Period.
Yeah.
So how many at this point? I know I'm the weight classes have been a bit of an anomaly, but how many athletes do you have where like their diet is truly just performance based and they're not trying to like necessarily cut down to a weight class or have aesthetic or body composition goals?
So I think like right now on my roster,
like any like open athletes, where obviously like being healthy in general is something that we're always like striving for, but how many like open class people where you don't necessarily have to worry about like a strict weight cutoff?
I think right now you're my only one with not having to worry about that.
Really?
Everybody else, I keep them within the range, because like, let's be honest here, with you it was like jumps, right? Everywhere. So I feel like I'm versed decently well in it now. But like, if right off the top of my head, I have 2 people going into PSL, right, in 2 weeks, and it's the 82 and the 105, right, and they're both like one of them is like just over his weight, and we're already water cutting. He'll come in perfect, right? The other one, she is just over her weight too, and she can sweat out like half a pound in the sauna, right? We don't have to water cut for that. I don't think I have any open class that I can think of off the top of my head. Actually, I do have one, but we're trying to get her back down to like the 82s.
Yeah.
But it's just been proven difficult. I want to be sustainable, right?
Mhm.
Like unless they're like a really big athlete, right? I'm not going to push them that hard.
Yeah. Interesting. I know you don't know the answer to this, but I think it's just like fun to speculate. What percentage of athletes, like what percentage of weight class athletes do you think probably have a nutrition coach versus what percentage of open athletes do you think have a nutrition coach?
Okay. I want to preface this as are we just doing this first?
I just popped into my head.
I want to preface this as I promise I'm not talking shit.
You can talk a little bit of shit.
I think it is a very small percentage of people that are open class that have a nutrition coach. And I don't know that fully, but that's what I feel.
It's
right?
a speculation.
It's a speculation, right? Whereas I feel like if you're a weight class, you should have, and if you don't, it's got to be like a 95% of them do.
Yeah.
If not for like the full year, at least for the last 3, 4, maybe even 6 months leading into a show, just to help them keep them on like some sort of program to keep them within range or below or right on the money. Right.
How valuable do you think it would be for open athletes to work with a coach, even if they don't have to get their weight down?
It's invaluable. I think it's honestly like
how much is being left on the table by not prioritizing that because they don't have to?
I think, if I'm being completely honest, if more of the open class had a nutrition coach that was able to help them, I think we would see upwards of a 25 to 50% jump in performance from each and every one of them. Not even no joke, no bullshit. Just I feel like that I have seen so many open class people that could do that much better if they just had someone handling them properly. In with it just 6 months, that's maximum leading into a show.
I agree.
Okay. You can probably hear me breathing on this mic. Okay.
Ooh. Okay. So at this point in your career, I know you work with a huge spectrum of people. We've talked a lot about your competitive clients, but you also work with a lot of Gen Pop.
Yep.
So how do coaching styles differ between such vastly different populations? And is there any difference in the types of relationships that you cultivate?
Yeah.
That actually wasn't that bad. I think it's calmed down a little bit.
Oh, okay. This is very nice.
It's kind of pleasant. It's a nice appley smell.
Yeah. Okay. It depends on what the person is looking for and what their goal is, I guess I'll say. I know that's kind of the same thing, but I think personally that I cultivated a lot of really good relationships out of my Gen Pop. They're usually the ones that want to stay a while, that are trying to get to a certain goal. I have also found a lot of great friendships and relationships with my pros. I just think that at the end of the day we're all people, and it just depends on what the person is kind of getting out of it, right?
Do coaching styles have to change?
Yes and no. It depends on the knowledge basis for each one, right? So going into for I don't know. I'll use an example. I work with an athlete, Lauren Ryder, right? She has a really good knowledge basis of nutrition, right? And I just basically work her food around in order to make sure that it fuels the performance the way I want to, but she gets to choose the foods and she gets to choose everything that she does, right? And I think that is a big benefactor for someone that has super good amounts of knowledge, right? But if someone doesn't have good amounts of knowledge, and even if that's a pro, right, I have to build them up and do building blocks, right? So sometimes I'll start them off as as little as protein and calories, right? And then work for you up there. And then I feel like that builds a more foundational like relationship, regardless of it's Gen Pop or Pro, because then you're teaching them those foundational things, and that can stick with them for life, right? If I were to, if you were to get someone new, right, with all of the stuff that you know, right, would you feel like you were able to, was it build that same relationship, or do you feel like with what we've done, you wouldn't have to build that same type of relationship?
I think I wouldn't say not have to. Like, I think that could be with anyone. I think I think part of maybe what you're saying, I think it depends more on the person than the level of competition or level of goal or whatever. Because, different people in either camp will have different needs. And also kind of you're talking about like the education, the building blocks, that I don't think just because someone is a general population or lower level means that they're not knowledgeable, and just because someone is a higher level doesn't mean that they are. So for me, I've found that it does seem to be more person to person, changes person to person as opposed to like athlete to general population.
I think the big thing is the Gen Pop that come in that tell me like I am an athlete or I was an athlete, right? And you have to. The hardest part for that is giving them the reality check of like, when were you an athlete? Like, when were you last an athlete? Oh, that was 15 years ago, right? So we can't treat you like that. We have to give you like more foundational stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of like what you can build off a little bit more, right? I guess I'll say.
All right. To the steel bottles.
That stuff's waking me up. My brain functions so well on that. Damn. I should just inhale that all the time.
Yeah, it's really good for you. Just like take some under your nose.
I remember, I'll never forget. I was driving over to Boise with a buddy of mine who was a powerlifter. I think I was handling him for the powerlifting meet. I think that's what it was. He picked him up from his house, and he goes, "You want an ammonia packet? You look kind of tired." And I'm like,
"Is that your first one?"
Yeah, I have. I don't think I've ever had smelling. I hadn't had smelling salts or anything like that. So like, they're the breakaways.
Yeah.
So I
the old school
broke it, and I inhaled it, and I like screamed essentially. It was some shit. That was a great drive.
Yeah,
really
it works out.
drive.
I keep salts in my car for when I'm falling asleep while I'm driving. It's effective.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the minty one. Oh, that was way too much.
Okay.
I went in for the double and didn't need the double. All right. So nutrition coaching is hard. I think any type of coaching has a psychological element, but when it comes to food specifically, it can be a touchy subject for a lot of people.
Yep.
So how do you find that line between tough love and understanding, and how do you make sure someone gets the results that they're coming to you for without overstepping?
Oh, okay. All right. I can see the cries in your face.
The cries?
Okay. Okay.
It's a little shake. Help.
Yeah, a little shake. I'm going to shake my head too. Okay. Whew, okay.
I went way too hard.
Yeah, me too.
In a good way, though. All right, I'm fired up.
I think the big thing that has to be noted is like everybody has something around food. I have felt like either someone doesn't eat enough, they eat too much. Like it's a touchy subject, right? I think the big thing for aiding in that though is setting the standard right away. Right. So like for a lot of the people that like I first bring on, I do a call with them. I kind of, sometimes it can be as long as like, I've had a call go as long as 2.5 hours. Right. And that's kind of getting a background. I have them fill out like a type form, and I get that background. I make sure everything is, I can get as much information as possible so I can start to kind of pick apart. Right. And you can tell too, like when someone's hesitant, and like, emotional reading is real in this job. I think from there, what I mainly do is I assess how long I can take to like really like I guess, push certain buttons,
Mm.
right? I think I've gotten to the point officially where it's nice when I get with someone, especially if they are like an athlete or if they are, a general populace, they're coming to me for the reason of like, I want to change.
Mm.
So I can feel like I can push them in that. Earlier on in my career, I was more of a yes man, and I was way more of a like, okay, well, we can try this or we can try that, when in reality, the person just wasn't doing it,
Yeah.
in its whole form, right? And that was hard, right? But now it's more of like setting the standard and the bar of, I'm here to make you better. I'm going to say this nicely, and I'm going to say this in a way that makes you know that like I care and I love you, right? And they usually are pretty responsive with that. I think the hardest one though is like that psychological barrier of like the people that like won't. They get with me, but they haven't yet accepted the fact of like, this is where you're at.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of little bits of Delulu with
Mhm.
different types of people, right? Everybody has a little bit of it. And I think slowly chipping away at breaking that glass
Mhm.
is something that makes this job like really worth it, because when that glass breaks for that person, they're like, oh, here's the thing that connects, right? And I've had people that I've worked with previously that the glass didn't break till like months after we stopped working together, and they're like, hey, it finally clicked. They'll message me like, hey, I just want you to know that
like I'm ready now.
things are
Yeah.
working, right? Or like there was one that I won't forget. They were like, I'm so sorry, for when we worked together, like it just wasn't clicking, but now it is, and I'm actually really grateful for it now, because the person was just it wasn't the right time.
Yeah.
And that's okay, but I'm really happy that they reached out and I was able to hear that, because I at the end of the day, I know you're not supposed to take stuff personally, but I do take this job very personally.
Yes, you care.
Yeah.
How often, if ever, have you had to have that conversation with someone of like, listen, you're just not ready for this? Because like, you can give someone the tools, but at the end of the day, they still have to choose to use them and choose to do the work. And have there been instances where someone's just, you can tell, not ready to make the change, and you can't force it?
Yeah, I think that was a big conversation I had to have with myself, though, right? Is when I think I had a little too much leeway at the very beginning, right? Of being like, oh, I can just make these baby steps, but like, no, some people really do have to crawl before they run. But I think the crawling has to come, and then I have to come when they run, right? Or when they're ready to like get up, walk, and run. Until like in recent years, it was like I was really lenient to where I'm like, okay, let's just send me pictures of your food. Let me do something as simple as that. And when they couldn't send the pictures, I was like, I don't think you really want this, right? If you can't do that, and we're on our phones all the time,
Yeah,
and we take pictures of our food all the time, right?
Yeah.
If you can't do that, I think it's having that conversation of like, you're just not ready, because I can work with all that.
Yeah,
I can tell you that like we can make little adjustments here and there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I had one person who was like, I don't know how to get more protein, sent me their pictures, and it was like they were eating turkey slices, right? And I was like, what kind of cheese is it? And it was like a really shitty cheese, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we just turned it into the laughing cow, and protein went up, and then results started happening a little bit faster, right? It's those minute little things.
Yeah.
So
make small changes, but still have to make some sort of change.
Yeah. And I feel like there are a lot of, you can always tell when there's someone that wants your help but hasn't been told no a lot. And I appreciate being the person to tell them no, but that's always the hardest, because they're always the most rough about that,
Yeah. It's a fun part of the job.
Yeah, it's a fun part of the job.
All right. Moving on to the blood. All right. Okay, so I feel like I've seen your life and career change so much just in the time that I've known you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think both of us have simultaneously been trying to figure out like what direction we want to go with our coaching for the past 4 years, as long as we've known each other.
Yeah.
So where do you see your career taking you, and what does coaching look like for you over the next 5 to 10 years?
That's a long time. I don't know, bro. Okay, that was a bad idea. I go for the double one, and it doesn't go well.
It tricks you into thinking you're safe.
Because it gives you that little like, oh, it's fine. Just take another one. It's fine.
Just one more. Just
Oh,
a little slip.
God. 5 to 10 years. I'd like to probably do exactly what I'm doing now, just at a higher scale. I really do like the traveling. Like, I think that, like, those I equate to my vacations, right? Because I'm just hanging out with, like, you know, an athlete, you know, with you, and it's fun, right? I'd like to basically kind of build my life more around that. I'd still like to train people in person, because I feel like that is at my core, my baby. And like the hardest part has been like giving up more of that. Like you and I talked about how like it's more sustainable to do more online. And that's where I've headed the last couple of years, which is good. It's just so hard that when someone's like, I need this help, right? And trying to make them transition into that online part, when they might be older or something like that, it's that useless. I think that'll be my biggest sticking point.
Yeah.
But in 5 to 10 years, I'd really like to see more competitions. I'd like to see more traveling for the competitions, and I'd really like to see working with more people at a higher level like yourself.
Yeah.
I feel like I really got lucky with you, like very, very lucky. I still kind of am, but like when you reached out, like I was a nobody, right? And I was in my little PT Cruiser, and I remember I got that message, and I was like crying in my car, because I felt like I had made it. I was like, oh my God, I'm working with a pro strongman. This is insane.
And how many strongman athletes have you worked with since then?
So
now,
many. Yeah.
did you ever foresee working with that sport?
No. I think this is one of the coolest sports that I've ever, worked with.
So when you say you want to start work with more high level athletes, do you see that spanning different sports? Do you see yourself doubling down in strongman? What direction do you see that going?
I think more strongman than anything at this point. Like I said, bodybuilding has been like, my one true love for a while. I just think that bodybuilding preps, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but like I get really close with each one of the people that I prepped with, right? Like I not only go to their show, but like half the time, like if I don't have a hotel room right next to them, I'm sleeping on the couch with them. So, but it takes so much energy, right? And not that like strongman preps take so much energy, but I feel like it's a different type, right? I feel like I still have that attachment to bodybuilding, and I always will. But I think in the next 5 to 10 years, I'm going to see more of a rise in like helping really fucking strong people. Because I mean, you're fun.
Yeah,
It's really fun.
Who's more difficult to work with, bodybuilders or strongmen?
Bodybuilders.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
I feel like they'll at least do what you tell them. I feel like strongmen probably don't always.
I think that it depends though, right? Because like if you have, some bodybuilders when they're really like depleted, right? All they do is, it's really hard to keep. So not all they do. It's really hard to keep a positive mindset in such a hard, heavy cut, right? And keeping that same energy the whole time is different, right? Like with a lot of the strongmen I've worked with, you guys are just like, yeah, it sucks, but I'm gonna do it, right?
Yeah,
that's pretty much
the vibe, the constant vibe.
Yeah, the constant vibe.
Cool. All right, my favorite one,
root beer.
Root beer.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Quick question.
Okay.
What's your favorite part about your job?
This is the question? Okay. Okay. I was a little bit smarter with that one. That's good. Oh, okay. Favorite part about my job is always has been and always will the people. Like the relationship building, the ability of feeling like I'm helping people.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been like the biggest thing. Like, and that can be in anything, right? I have a midwife that I'm training in person, right? She has never not been able to like do any upper body really without feeling her neck, and I can watch the muscle right through here that leads into her trap just shoot every time she does anything. So I was able to find different patterns and find things to create more strength. Make her stronger. And I, not God, I'm gonna sound like such an emotional bitch. I'm talking about crying twice in this podcast already.
It's the salt.
It's the salt. But it got me really emotional that she was able to do lateral raises without pain, right? So it's doesn't always have to be just physical. It could be mental. It could be anything, like helping people through, certain emotions as they're going, like whatever it might be, right? We wear a lot of hats.
Yeah.
And I just truly like being the guy that can help somebody.
So who's your favorite client and why is it me?
I wouldn't be doing this podcast if I didn't love you so much.
All right, last question. Last question. Strongest smelling salt.
Make sure you're not having a
Strongest
stroke.
salt?
We had a lot of.
I don't know.
salts.
My brain's not braining today. It was already not braining before I came in, though.
Okay.
Oh, that I didn't taste that one.
Okay.
Okay. Last one. If you had one free-for-all day where calories don't count,
Oh fuck.
what are your ultimate breakfast, lunch, and dinner cheat meals?
Okay. Come on. Be fancy. You got like Chinese food? What is this one? Caramel apple. That tastes like yakisoba. Okay.
Your brain's doing weird things.
Yeah.
Are you having a stroke?
Let's pray. No. Man, breakfast, lunch, and dinner cheat meal. I'm not like a huge breakfast guy, funny enough. I know that pisses you
I
off.
know, it hurts my heart.
But I think if I were to be able to do it kind of out of work. Oh, no, yeah. So, Derica, for those of you who don't know, Derica's my fiance, is from Iowa, and she makes this wicked-ass breakfast casserole.
That's such an Iowa thing.
Yeah.
You're going to put casserole on your cheat day?
Girl, it's tater tot breakfast casserole, and I shit you not, it is fire.
That is so Midwest.
Yeah. I could eat, I have eaten almost a whole tray by myself, and it's probably like almost 2,000 calories for just a quarter of the tray.
Hell yeah.
So I put that.
Start strong.
Yeah, it's super good. So I probably would start with that.
Yeah.
Maybe some orange juice with it, because we're keeping it light.
Yeah. Gotta wash it down.
Mm-hmm. I'm a big cinnamon roll fan, so that maybe something like that too. The lunch would probably make that the heaviest one. Probably go like as much sushi as I could possibly handle. And that has to be like tuna and salmon, and like not the fried shit.
Like the real sushi.
Yeah.
The fish.
I can't fucking do the fried stuff. I want to vomit every time I eat it. I feel bad saying that, but like it's just so greasy, And that was it. If I can, dinner, man, that's a hard one. Probably the most disgusting looking burger I could find.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love burgers and fries, and I love sushi. I think that's the, again, the bodybuilding background, because that's usually what you're given for a cheat meal normally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dessert?
Yeah, dessert. Dessert? Oh, God. Okay. You got to try these. I know that we're both fans of crumble, but there is this place up north called Hello Robin.
I heard of it.
Okay.
Heavy breathing.
Yeah. Get ready for this shit. Okay. They're I think graham cracker, cookie, chocolate chip cookie, Hershey's chocolate piece, and then marshmallow all in one cookie. I can have like 30 of those some bitches and just
That
not even
sounds so
blink.
good.
And they're not big too. They're only like this big, but like
So you can eat a box.
so you can eat a box.
Nice.
You can eat a dozen, no problem. Yeah, seriously, that place, those cookies are to die for. And then there's other places that have ice cream too, so you can make a cookies ice cream sandwich.
Stop.
So
I'm so glad we're open now.
Yeah.
So for the record, Spencer brought me this.
Mhm.
This is an unplanned coffee with whipped cream.
Yeah, it's was it?
We're a big girl now.
I was just gonna say that we're a big girl now.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about that.
No, we have to worry about it a little bit, but
Just the A1C. That's all.
just a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. How you feeling? You made it.
Pretty good. I was so worried I was gonna have to tap out. Honestly,
You crushed it.
yeah. That one, yeah, I might have had a mini stroke with, but like beyond
I don't
that,
know where you're getting Chinese food from that, but
should I do it again just to see if I get Chinese food again?
I mean, for science.
Okay. Okay. Mm. I got caramel apple that time.
Oh, so
Okay.
you just had a stroke.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
had a stroke.
Okay.
Oh,
We're fine then.
yeah.
Your brain's back to normal.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, thanks for being here. New thing that Zone is doing now. Guests get to pick their favorite, and Zone is going to send you out a bottle of whichever one you liked best from the lineup. So,
No
which one
shit.
would you like to keep in your car for when you're falling asleep?
Which one is this one? Honestly, I think I'm digging the Frost. I think
Yeah?
it was right. Yeah,
Yeah, that was
Frost is
nice.
really
The minty one.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Spencer, for being here. Thank you, Zone, as always, for supplying the lineup. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Spencer, where can they find you if they want to give you a follow?
At Trainer Spencer. That is my Instagram handle. And if you need anything else, that's the only place to find me.
Let me think about that. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll tag him below. Are you taking clients currently?
I am taking just a few more.
Few more?
Probably, yeah. Probably like less than 5. But yeah.
Okay. So that's where you can find him. Reach out to him if you're interested. And as always, thanks for being here. Like, share, subscribe, all of that stuff. And I will see you next time for another episode of Burning Questions.
Bye-bye.